I have two things to discuss in this video covering Palantir. Most importantly, let's talk about a potential inclusion in the S&P 500 and its implications. And secondly, I will start with looking at interesting numbers from the income statement. So if you want to learn more about those two things, then this video is for you. Alright, let's start by taking a look at some of the numbers. So we can see for 3 months ended, the quarter here basically, we can see an increase in revenue, but this is not the interesting part that I found. The very good sign for Palantir investors is in terms of operating expenses. So we can see total operating expenses only increasing slightly, whereas revenue increased much more. This is a telltale sign of a software company, and that's why the market loves them so much. And if we look at the breakdown, we can see that sales and marketing is seeing a increase. So of course commission for the sellers, maybe running some ads. And then we also see research and development receiving more cash. And then a decrease in general and administrative. Very nice, very solid, a show of strength from Palantir. So that's the interesting part in the numbers that I found from the earnings call. And then let's talk now about the inclusion in the S&P 500. It was subtly mentioned at first, but then they just kept on bringing it up all the time. So I guess this is something that's on the mind of management. And if we look at the document you see on screen right now, this is a document from the S&P Global where they talk about eligibility criteria, and there's a whole bunch of them. Alright, and there's some disclaimers here. Remember when Tesla tried to join the S&P 500, they were not taken up the first time, and we will see why this can be the case later down in this document. But first it talks about market capitalization. So you will see a lot of different numbers if you just Google this, and it will be depending on date. So it can be hard to get an exact figure. That's why I wanted to show this to you guys, so we clear all the nonsense around this. So the level market capitalization is 14.5 billion or more for the S&P 500. And if we take a look at Palantir stock, we can see that market cap is 38 billion as I'm recording this video. Alright, so basically the market capitalization is plenty. And they also talk about listing criteria in this document. They talk about the IPO or the direct listing. Palantir did a direct listing. In SPAC cases, I'm super curious about how the index will handle that if a SPAC listing becomes very large very quickly and don't have a lot of track record in reporting, because in these cases we need geographical reporting, for example, to show what geographical areas revenue comes from. That's one criteria to be included in the S&P 500, and this, if you watched the earnings call yesterday, is something that Palantir indeed does in their reporting. So they seem to have that on lockdown as well. The big hindrance, in my opinion, is the profitability requirement, and the liquidity is hard to put a finger on as well. But the sum of its earnings in the previous 4 quarters must be positive. Alright, so Palantir is on track for this. And the liquidity requirement that they put up here, it's better to look in the S&P 500 to get a more exact figure on this, an updated figure. However, this had not changed when I checked it. But if we look further down here, below rules of exceptions, and exception here for Berkshire Hathaway, I found this one to be interesting. You can pause and read if you want to. But going further with Palantir, S&P Dow Jones indices believe turnover in index membership should be avoided when possible. Right, so rebalancing is something that they have more of a wait and see approach. So once again, remember Tesla, they wasn't included even though they were eligible in one of the rebalancing opportunities. Don't worry, we will look at when the rebalancing happened as well. But they weren't included the first time, but then eventually they were included. And this is due to this clause here. I mean, take it from the horse's mouth, all right? This is directly from Standard & Poor's, all right? And we can see that this is the language that they're communicating to us investors. So as with all investments, we need to be patient. And we also see the rebalancing opportunities here. So after the close on the third Friday in March, June, September, and December, typical updates on the S&P 500's composition. And hopefully you already know why this is so important. This is simple supply and demand. If a lot of index funds are required to purchase Palantir stock in order to keep tracking the S&P 500, this is very bullish for us as Palantir investors. This means that no matter what price it is trading at, institutions, funds that track the S&P 500 are forced to buy Palantir shares in order to be compliant with following along the index. Once again, remember when Tesla was included, stock price surged in this point. So it's a very bullish trigger for the stock. And as with all things, there's no guarantee Palantir will be included now or straight away. We looked at eligibility criteria. We looked at market capitalization. It was good. Profitability is coming there. Maybe there will be some issues with the direct listing. Maybe there will be some paragraph that they find. And also remember this hesitancy from rebalancing the index. It can take extra long time. So especially for those who love to gamble with options, this can be extremely risky. And also for investors who maybe leverage and take big risk trying to get Palantir and trying to time an inclusion in the S&P 500 that maybe won't happen. There can be some black swan event, who knows. But this is the inclusion criteria that we went over today, the potential bullish event that could happen if Palantir is included in this S&P 500 index. And once again, this ties back into the earnings call as to why management spoke a lot about this in the earnings call. Very interesting times for Palantir investors. And as always, hope you guys make a ton of money, whatever investments you decide to make. Take care now. Bye bye.